There's lots of pressure traditionally on men and males, yeah. Many of the families around me, the man in that family was the breadwinner, for want of a better word. We need to move away from that really, but the predominant earner in that family. So even when I was young, I used to think, okay, because I used to look at the house and I used to look at things like the cars that sat outside, and I used to try and think, right, okay, and the wage rates that my dad was on, adopted father, and I think, oh God, like the expense of the house, and I think, gosh, like that's quite expensive. And then when you compare that to what you're earning in terms of like things like a paper round, you think, gosh, like how does that measure up, and how am I ever going to afford that? And then for particularly for men, I think when you're young, back in my day, it'd be like your footballers would be earning unbelievable amounts of money that people would be aspiring towards. Then you'd hear sort of ad hoc conversations about, well, if you know, I should have married a footballer or should have been with that film star. And then it was about the film stars and the looks as well, and identity, body shapes as well, that might have been dictated by who was ever revered to be the top of the profession at that time. Footballers and things like people like boxers and rugby stars seem to set the tone of what was the top expectancy, and if you didn't meet those kind of standards, you'd fall outside of it, or it might be the pressures that you put on yourself, which I know a lot of males now tend to struggle with. And again, that's around being number one, isn't it? There's a big fascination around you've got to be the best or you've got to be top. So if you don't quite hit top, or if you don't quite hit first spot or first place, it doesn't make you a failure, but you've got to be able to sort of cope with that and deal with that. There are many males in various sporting professions, but the ones that seem to hit the top of the scale were either very ego machotistical, like the boxers, the fighters, the UFCs and things. But there's many different definitions of a male and what a man is. Men can be men in many different fields and forms in life, but I think there's lots of pressures when you're young.